What's next for the former UFC welterweight champion Belal Muhammad after losing his third straight fight to all three 28-year-olds? First for the UFC welterweight title to Jack Della Maddalena, then to the number one ranked welterweight in the world, Ian Machado Gary, and now to the 20-1 surging Brazilian prospect contender, Gabriel Bonfim. Now, if you ask me, how does this man reset and get back on the winning track that got him the UFC welterweight title? There's one opponent that is easy right there in front of me. Joaquim Numansa Buckley. Now, this is Joaquim Buckley's last fights. He's also on a losing streak himself, losing to Kamaru Usman and Sean Brady. And if we all remember, Sean Brady is the man that just defeated Joaquin Buckley 30-25 on judges' scorecards. And we just talked about how Belal Muhammad defeated Sean Brady back in 2022. So that's a common opponent. But that's one that they both have a loss and a win against. Let's share some common opponents that they both have wins against, shall we? Now here's Joaquin Buckley, who beat Stephen Wonderboy Thompson by third round knockout when he just sent him crumbling into the cage. And Mike Beltran had to save Stephen Thompson from getting assassinated. And also, this was different because this was just a three-round unanimous decision wrestling match that Belal Muhammad took Stephen Wonderboy Thompson down repetitively and won the decision. And also, here's Joaquin Buckley victory over Vicente the Silent Assassin Luque, just smashing him over and over, grounding, pounding him the second round, and then a five-round unanimous decision victory for Belal Muhammad over Vicente after he knocked him out back in 2015. And now we get 2016, sorry. And now we get to my secondary choice. If it's not Joaquin Buckley, then this fight is going to be the main event of UFC Belgrade, Serbia, between the Serbian sensation himself, Uros the Dr. Medic, against D-Rod Daniel Rodriguez. Now, I feel like the winner of this fight, 14 against 15, is going to stay in the rankings and deserves to have an uphill opponent in the rankings after this fight. So why would it make sense for both Medic and Rodriguez to face Belal Muhammad? Well, let's look at Uros Medic first. Now that's his record. He took a loss to Puna Sorielli back 2025 in January, and since then he's on a three-fight win streak. Some of the similar opponents that both Uros and Belal Muhammad share is Tim the Dirty Bird Means. Both Belal and Uros got victories over them, but in Uros's case, he hit him with the hook to the temple, sent him crashing down in the canvas, and then followed up with ground and pound punches right in front of Herb Dean's face. He gets in front. He just steps in front of them. Doesn't slide through. No, he steps over on the lifeless body of Tim Means. And on the other side, when Belal Muhammad fought the Dirty Bird, he barely beat him by split decision, folks. And the stats, it's pretty close. Like, if you gave the fight to Tim Means, no one like today is going to be like, wow, Belal got screwed. And now let's continue on. Uros Medic versus his last opponent, Jeff Neal, who was ranked number 12 in the welterweight division. And he hit him with this. You see this left hook that's coming on the right shoulder of Jeff Neal. That's coming when he's not seeing it coming, ladies and gentlemen. And it connects, drops him, sends him unconscious to the canvas, and sent the snot rocket out of his nostril. And then went back to sleep. And then there goes Uros Medic just flying off from the biggest win of his career. And going back to a fight that Jeff Neal had with Belal Muhammad back in 2017. This fight made Jeff Neal make Belal Muhammad quit, but it went to the judge scorecards. But you see behind Jeff Neal with his hand raised, Belal Muhammad's on the stool, not even energy enough to get to the center of the octagon for the official decision. And the stats are pretty close striking wise, but when you look at what made this fight one sided to the other, it's the two knockdowns that Jeff Neal scored on Belal Muhammad. And now let's look at Daniel Rodriguez. Now, Daniel Rodriguez took three losses back to back to back against Kelvin, Ian Machado, Gary, and Neil Magny, but since then is on also a three-fight win streak, just like Uros Medic is. And another similar opponent that both him, Uros Medic, and Belal Muhammad share is Tim the Dirty Bird Means. And similar to Uros Medic, Daniel Rodriguez didn't go to a decision. He straight up finished him by getting him in the Anaconda choke standing and then made Herb Dean had to separate the two. Daniel Rodriguez wins. Nice shout out to Kobe Bryant, 824 with the mouthpiece. And again, all Belal Muhammad did when he fought Tim Means was just go to the judges' scorecards very controversially. Another opponent that both Daniel Rodriguez and Belal Muhammad share is Ian Machado Gary. Ian Gary head kicked, knocked out Daniel Rodriguez, sent him to the canvas, followed up with ground and pound. Referee Dan Murgalato stops the fight, and your winner, Ian Machado Gary, getting into the rankings with that fight. And we all know that Belal Muhammad lost Ian last year by 3-round unanimous decision. So if you ask me if it's Daniel or Uros, it's a great fight option for the 3-fight losing streak Belal Muhammad.